Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're exploring a truly intriguing topic from the Bible, the three individuals who never experienced death. That's right, while most of us see death as an inevitable part of life, the Bible tells us about three remarkable people who were taken straight to heaven without dying. Curious to know who they are? Let's jump in. Our first story is about Enoch. Enoch lived long before the flood, in an era dominated by corruption and widespread sin. The world was sinking into darkness, with people's thoughts and actions consumed by evil. Yet, in the midst of this moral chaos, Enoch stood out as a shining example of righteousness. He was the seventh generation from Adam, a descendant through Seth's lineage, and the father of Methuselah, the man known for having the longest lifespan in the Bible at 969 years. Enoch's family line connects directly to Noah, which is significant because it plays a crucial role in humanity's survival and redemption during the flood. Enoch wasn't an ordinary man. His life represented a clear break from the sinful patterns of those around him. While others were consumed by wickedness, Enoch chose a path of obedience and faithfulness. He walked closely with God, a choice that made him unique in his time. His commitment to living a righteous life in the face of overwhelming corruption showcases his profound faith and unwavering devotion to God. Enoch's most remarkable trait was his deep and unbroken relationship with God. In Genesis 5:24, it is written, "Enoch walked faithfully with God, then he was no more, because God took him away." This phrase reflects an ongoing, close fellowship with the Creator. While others in his era turned away from God, Enoch chose to remain devoted and steadfast. Walking with God symbolizes living in harmony with His will, marked by consistent communication, trust, and obedience. This speaks volumes about Enoch's character and his disciplined spiritual life. Enoch's relationship with God wasn't merely about adhering to rules, it was about building a meaningful and personal bond. He engaged in daily dialogue with God, sought His guidance, and aligned his choices with divine principles. This profound connection set Enoch apart, making his walk with God unique and transformative. His faith and devotion were so extraordinary that God was pleased with him to an exceptional degree, ultimately resulting in the miraculous event of Enoch being taken directly to heaven. Although the Genesis account of Enoch is brief, it has inspired much curiosity and interpretation in other ancient writings. One such text is the Book of Enoch, an ancient Jewish work that provides a more detailed look at his life. It describes his visions, interactions with heavenly beings, and journeys through celestial realms. While not part of the Bible's canonical texts, the Book of Enoch has significantly influenced Jewish and early Christian traditions. It portrays Enoch as a figure of righteousness and a mediator between God and humanity, further emphasizing his extraordinary spiritual legacy. In the Book of Enoch, we are introduced to Enoch's enlightening visions and his crucial role in disclosing heavenly secrets. He embarks on celestial journeys, during which he witnesses the future and gains insights into the divine blueprint. These experiences greatly enhance our perception of Enoch's uniqueness. His existence was marked by heavenly interactions that significantly enriched his spiritual path. The tale of Enoch is notable for several reasons. Primarily, it highlights the feasibility of leading a virtuous life amidst a decadent and sinful society. Enoch's unwavering devotion serves as a model for believers to emulate. This notion is echoed in Hebrews 11:5-6, which states, "By faith Enoch was transported from this life, so that he did not meet death. He was nowhere to be found because God had taken him. For before his departure, he had earned the accolade of being pleasing to God. Furthermore, it is impossible to please God without faith, for anyone who approaches him must believe that he exists and rewards those who diligently seek him. Enoch's existence exemplifies that an intimate and fulfilling relationship with God is attainable and immensely gratifying to him. Additionally, Enoch's ascension to heaven is often viewed as an early symbol of the rapture, offering hope that believers will ultimately conquer death and enter into God's realm. His life serves as a powerful testimony to the benefits of faithfulness and obedience. The story of Enoch transcends mere survival from death. It's about the lifestyle that precipitates such a remarkable deliverance. Elijah emerges as one of the most formidable prophets in the history of Israel, his life unfolding during a tumultuous era. Under King Ahab's reign, influenced heavily by his wife Jezebel, the nation had plunged into deep idol worship, particularly of Baal, marking a grim chapter for Israel as they strayed from their devotion to the true God. Amidst this widespread disloyalty, Elijah stood firm as a dedicated servant of Yahweh, courageously delivering God's messages to the populace. His name, meaning Yahweh is my God, distinctly reflects his mission and identity. Elijah's prophetic role was marked by his striking aura and singular determination to oppose the rampant idolatry. He makes his first appearance in 1 Kings 17 without any prior introduction, underscoring the sudden and imperative nature of his calling. His ministry was filled with extraordinary miracles and powerful displays of divine might. Fearlessly, he challenged the era's highest powers, including King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. His bravery and unwavering faith played a pivotal role in redirecting the nation's heart back to God. Elijah's life was punctuated by a series of remarkable events that underscored his prophetic role. His story begins in 1 Kings 17, where he pronounces a drought over Israel as divine retribution for the nation's transgressions. This drought, which persisted for 3.5 years, showcased both the might of God and Elijah's prophetic legitimacy. Throughout this period, Elijah received sustenance in miraculous ways, first from ravens that brought him food while he stayed at the brook Cherith, and later from a widow in Zarephath. There he miraculously multiplied the widow's food supply and resurrected her son, further affirming his divine support. A pivotal moment in Elijah's ministry occurred during his dramatic encounter with the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, as detailed in 1 Kings 18. This event was essentially a divine contest between the God of Israel and the idol Baal, where Elijah challenged 450 of Baal's prophets to invoke fire from heaven to ignite their offering. Despite their intense prayers and rituals, they failed to elicit any response from Baal. Elijah then built his own altar, soaked it thoroughly with water, and called upon Yahweh. The Lord responded emphatically, sending fire from the sky that not only consumed the sacrifice, but also the altar and the surrounding water. This astonishing event convinced the onlookers to acknowledge Yahweh's supremacy, chanting, "The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God." This led to the defeat and elimination of Baal's prophets. Another pivotal moment in Elijah's life was his divine encounter on Mount Horeb. After escaping Jezebel's threats, Elijah sought refuge on Horeb, where he witnessed a profound manifestation of God and received fresh directives to appoint new leaders over Israel. Elijah's ascent to heaven ranks among the most awe-inspiring events recorded in the Bible. In 2 Kings 2, the narrative describes Elijah's premonition of his impending departure. He traveled from Gilgal to Bethel, then to Jericho, and finally reached the Jordan River, accompanied by his disciple, Elisha. Along this journey, groups of prophets at each location confirmed that the Lord would soon take Elijah from the earth. At the Jordan, Elijah showcased his divine empowerment by striking the river with his cloak, miraculously parting the waters and allowing them to cross on dry land. After crossing, Elijah inquired what he could do for Elisha before his ascension. Elisha's request for a double portion of Elijah's spirit was met with a conditional promise. It would be granted if Elisha witnessed Elijah's ascension. As they continued their conversation, a fiery chariot drawn by horses of fire suddenly appeared, separating the two. Elijah was then swept up into heaven by a whirlwind. Elisha, witnessing this extraordinary sight, exclaimed, "My father, the chariots and horsemen of Israel." He then picked up Elijah's mantle, symbolizing not only the succession of prophetic authority, but also the initiation of his own ministry. Elijah's dramatic ascent serves as a powerful testament to God's approval and the seamless continuation of his work. It marked the culmination of Elijah's earthly duties and the start of Elisha's mission, symbolizing a divine passage and transformation that transcend earthly boundaries. Elijah's life and miraculous ascent are deeply meaningful. His steadfast faith and boldness against adversity exemplify the strength found in adhering to God's truth. The miraculous events of Elijah's life, along with his ascension, underscore God's supreme authority and active presence in the world. Moreover, Elijah's narrative is seen as a precursor to eschatological themes in the New Testament, particularly notions of the rapture and the return of Christ, illustrating a continuous thread of divine deliverance and ultimate justice. Turning to another enigmatic biblical figure, we encounter Melchizedek in Genesis 14, emerging in the aftermath of Abraham's triumph over the kings who had captured his nephew Lot. Melchizedek, the king of Salem, a name symbolizing peace and a priest of the Most High God, meets Abraham with bread and wine and blesses him, declaring, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." Abraham's subsequent offering of a tenth of all he has to Melchizedek is a significant act that recognizes Melchizedek's spiritual authority, and his role underscores profound themes of priesthood, kingship, and blessing. The narrative briefly yet significantly features Melchizedek, who uniquely embodies both kingly and priestly roles, a rarity in ancient contexts. He rules over Salem, commonly linked to Jerusalem, and his interaction with Abraham, blessing him and accepting tithes, underscores his superior spiritual status. These actions, coupled with his titles, have profound theological significance, linking him to notions of royalty, priesthood, and divine favor. His abrupt introduction and absence of familial lineage render him a mysterious and singular character. The scriptural reference in Hebrews 7:3, "Without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, resembling the Son of God, he remains a priest forever," suggests to many that Melchizedek might be a divine or celestial representation of Christ, rather than a mere mortal. His dual capacity as both a sovereign and a cleric prefigures Jesus Christ, recognized as the King of Kings and the ultimate high priest. Psalm 110:4 further underscores his significance with a divine oath. "The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek." This passage, reiterated in Hebrews, highlights the perpetual nature of Jesus' priesthood, which stands in contrast to the transitory Levitical priesthood. In this eternal role, Jesus, akin to Melchizedek, offers ceaseless mediation and intercession between God and humankind. Melchizedek stands out in biblical history as both a king and a priest, a role distinguished not by ancestry, but by his divine relationship and spiritual leadership. This distinction lays the groundwork for comprehending the priesthood of Jesus. Like Melchizedek, Jesus' priestly role is defined not by descent, but through his divine essence and his everlasting function as the mediator between God and people. Scholars diverge in their interpretations of Melchizedek's identity and purpose. Some regard him as a historical figure, a king-priest whose legacy underscores the concept of an eternal priesthood, while others consider him a Christophany, an appearance of Christ in the Old Testament, supported by the absence of his genealogy and the eternal characteristics ascribed to him. Regardless of Melchizedek's precise identity, his narrative serves as a potent symbol of Christ's perpetual priesthood and God's unalterable covenant with humanity. His story prompts us to reflect on the essence of priesthood and kingship, suggesting that true spiritual authority is bestowed by God and marked by righteousness and peace. The enigma surrounding Melchizedek also encourages a deeper engagement with Scripture and a fuller pursuit of understanding God's overarching plan. Whether seen as a historical persona, a symbolic representation, or a pre-incarnate manifestation of Christ, Melchizedek's tale deepens our grasp of the unending scope of God's endeavors. Melchizedek's narrative offers several profound insights. First, it underscores the significance of spiritual authority and the priesthood in God's divine plan. His priesthood, rooted in righteousness and a direct relationship with God rather than ancestry, reminds us that true spiritual authority is derived from our connection to God and our dedication to His purposes. Second, Melchizedek's combined roles as both king and priest anticipate the roles of Jesus Christ, who serves as both our sovereign leader and our high priest, mediating our relationship with God. This dual function is crucial as it merges leadership with intercessory prayer, illustrating that Jesus guides us while also advocating on our behalf. Third, the absence of genealogical details about Melchizedek encourages us to consider the everlasting nature of God's work. Similar to Melchizedek's priesthood, the priesthood of Jesus is timeless, reinforcing the notion that God's plans for salvation are not bound by temporal limits. Lastly, the enigmatic elements of Melchizedek's story urge us to engage more deeply with Scripture and to pursue a more profound comprehension of God's overarching plan. The mysteries surrounding him challenge us to explore the depths of biblical text, seeking out deeper spiritual truths. As we ponder these narratives, we are invited to scrutinize our own spiritual journeys. Do we walk closely with God as Enoch did, maintaining a steadfast and faithful relationship? Are we as bold in our faith as Elijah, standing firm even in adversity? And do we fully embrace the eternal priesthood of Jesus, recognizing his constant intercession on our behalf? These narratives remind us that our relationship with God is both deeply personal and eternally significant, challenging us to live lives that honor him. Reflecting on Enoch's commitment, we might ask ourselves, are we making daily time to walk with God? Do we actively listen for his guidance and strive to please him in our actions? Enoch's life exemplifies the value of consistent communion with God and leading a life aligned with his will. Considering Elijah's courage, we might ponder, are we prepared to stand firm in our beliefs, even when faced with opposition or peril? Do we trust God's ability to act in our lives and influence the world around us? Elijah's narrative encourages us to embrace boldness in our faith and depend on God's strength during challenges. Contemplating Melchizedek's timeless priesthood, we are invited to deepen our understanding of Jesus' role as our high priest. Do we fully recognize the importance of his continual intercession on our behalf? Are we living with an awareness of his enduring priesthood, confident that he is perpetually mediating for us? Melchizedek's story enhances our appreciation for the profound and lasting aspects of Jesus' priestly duties, reinforcing the perpetual nature of his divine mission. The accounts of Enoch, Elijah, and Melchizedek provide profound teachings on faith, compliance, and God's everlasting endeavors. These narratives encourage us to honor God through our actions, deepen our bond with Him, and adopt the timeless viewpoint demonstrated by these figures from the Scriptures. Enoch's close relationship with God illustrates the significance of regular engagement with our Creator. His existence urges us to make our connection with God a priority and to conduct ourselves in ways that are agreeable to Him. Elijah's assertive prophetic work inspires us to maintain our beliefs steadfastly, even when facing challenges. His bravery in opposing false worship and his divine acts are affirmations of God's mighty presence. Melchizedek's unending priesthood highlights the vitalness of spiritual leadership and the significance of the priestly office in God's scheme. These tales motivate us to foster a stronger connection with God, to courageously uphold our beliefs, and to recognize the everlasting aspect of God's tasks. They signal to us that our spiritual voyage is both individual and collective, entailing an intimate connection with God and dedication to His purpose. The lives of Enoch, Elijah, and Melchizedek, marked by faithfulness, prophetic bravery, and perpetual priesthood, serve as models for us to emulate. They demonstrate that a life committed to God is characterized by faith, obedience, and virtuousness. These qualities not only delight God, but also result in remarkable achievements. The themes present in these scriptural accounts resonate across various cultures and traditions, highlighting a shared human intrigue with the concept of immortality. For example, the Greek myth of Tithonus, who received everlasting life but not eternal youth, mirrors this fascination with living forever. Similarly, the tale of the Chinese 8 immortals, who are celebrated for their undying existence and mystical powers, underscores the widespread desire to overcome mortality and forge a connection with the divine. These narratives illustrate a universal aspiration to surpass the confines of death. Additionally, the story of the wandering Jew, who is said to have been cursed with endless life for taunting Jesus en route to his crucifixion, aligns with these biblical stories. Despite their diverse cultural backdrops, these tales collectively highlight the human yearning for perpetual life and the profound spiritual implications of such wishes. They underscore the universal pursuit of transcendence and the hope anchored in divine intervention. These accounts prompt us to contemplate our own perspectives on life, death, and the prospect of an eternal existence. Reflecting on these narratives encourages us to introspect about our own spiritual journeys and our relationship with God. Do we engage with God as closely as Enoch, maintaining a steadfast and intimate connection? Are we as courageous as Elijah, upholding our faith even when circumstances are tough? Do we acknowledge the continuous intercession of Jesus in the role of an eternal priest? These accounts remind us that our path with God is both deeply personal and infinitely enduring, urging us to live in ways that glorify Him. When considering Enoch's life, we might ponder whether we are setting aside daily moments to commune with God, listening for His guidance and striving to please Him in our actions. In light of Elijah's example, we can evaluate whether we are ready to defend our beliefs, even when such stances may be unfavored or risky. Do we trust in God's ability to act in our lives and in the world at large? Elijah's narrative pushes us to be bold in our convictions and to depend on God's might during challenging times. Reflecting on Melchizedek's timeless priesthood, we can deepen our comprehension of Jesus' role as our high priest. Let's review. Enoch was so close to God that he was taken to heaven alive. Elijah ascended in a whirlwind with a chariot of fire, and Melchizedek remains an enigmatic figure, both a king and a priest, whose legacy is everlasting. Their lives motivate us to strengthen our belief and trust in God's divine plan. These individuals show us that our spiritual path can lead to remarkable destinations, from Enoch's profound communion with God to Elijah's fearless prophetic existence, or Melchizedek's unending priestly role. They encourage us to pursue a deeper bond with God. Their narratives are not merely tales of avoiding death, but are examples of lives dedicated to pleasing God, steadfastly holding on to our faith and grasping the unending scope of God's endeavors. If you found this video enlightening, please like it, share it with your friends, and remember to subscribe to our channel for more spiritual insights. Feel free to leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts on these intriguing tales. Until our next video, continue to seek knowledge and growth in your faith journey. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.